Well, let's talk about something you haven't talked a lot about lately. Assad. Just kidding. I mean, a lot of people talk about this meeting with Assad all the time.
Let me just say,
yes.
I don't know if this camera is on here, but thank you for this Hawaii mug for my tea.
No, listen, you're coming to an Italian grandma's house, and I'm going to make things happen. I had to make sure we had a Hawaiian coffee mug for you to
not
drink your
gone
tea.
unnoticed.
Thank you so much. You're
As
making
you were
me
saying.
blush. Well, yeah, we were talking about a subject not talked about often was Assad, but all kidding aside, a lot of people talk about that meeting, and I hope you continue to meet with our adversaries, continue to talk to them.
Yeah.
I hate the whole notion and the idea that you shouldn't talk to our enemies or adversaries or whatever you want to call them. But,
because the only alternative
yes.
to not having the courage to take those tough meetings is war.
Gotcha.
That is the whole point. That's why I met with Assad. That's why I met with Donald Trump to talk about the issues of what was happening in Syria, the threat of ISIS, and the need to end these wasteful regime change wars. It's why I've advocated then for President Obama and then President Trump to meet with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Unless we have the courage to take those meetings, to have those conversations, literally the only alternative is war.
Gotcha. How is it when you went to Syria, the people itself, though? Because we often see that, Assad is a brutal dictator. He murders his people. But
one second. Johnny, we have people in the super chat saying that we need to turn it down. Turn down the OBS dial, please, because it's coming a little bit high. A little bit more.
Wow.
There we go. Good
Great
stuff.
feedback.
Good.
Yeah. That's why I love him.
Perfect. So we see a lot of mainstream media in the States and how they demonize Assad, and they demonize any leader in any country that we want to go to war with, the elites, that is.
That's usually the first step.
Totally, it's the regime change playbook. Yeah. However, when we see a lot of independent media, when I watched a lot of real news, we would see Assad driving around the country in a Honda. A lot of his people are very supportive of him. What did you witness from the people on the ground in Syria? Because we often forget about them. How do they feel?
Yeah, the people who are suffering as a result of what's happening there. I was glad that in the short time that we were there, we had the chance to meet with people from different parts of the country. We met with religious leaders from both Aleppo as well as in Damascus, of all, Christians, Catholics, Muslims, many different religious leaders who were very concerned, saying, if you topple Assad, the ones who will take over are terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And the very first thing that they will do is massacre religious minorities.
This is the
Syria.
people on the ground.
These are religious leaders. These are
so the religious leaders are saying this, and Assad is supposedly secular.
They were taking a very realist view. Like this is the reality that they're facing. We walked through some of the churches that have been bombed in Aleppo. They knew that they would be the very first targets.
Yeah.
We met with college students walking down the street and through the markets. We happened upon some college students and just started talking with them. We met with some of the political opposition. Yeah. People who are opposed to Assad, people who were some of the leaders of the initial protests that happened in 2011. And from them, they were talking about the kinds of reforms they want to see in their country. The constitutional reforms, freedom of elections, all of these different things that were very important for them. Yeah. But they did not support the interference from the United States, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, all of these other countries who were coming in trying to wage this regime change war.
So is civil war a misnomer then?
Well, because they understood and this was a message that we heard throughout with a lot of different people and groups that we heard there, was it is the Syrian people who must determine their own future. Yeah. Very proud, strong, passionate people who love their country, who love their people. And wherever they fell on, pro-regime, anti-regime, many of the people we talked to, look, they just said, we want peace. We want peace. They said, we love Americans, but we hate your government for what you are doing to our country.
There's such an outlier in the world. You know what? I'm so glad that, because I didn't even know. I just learned something new today. I didn't know that the religious leaders were fearful of what would happen if Assad's government. Because and then the opposition leaders.
It's because it's not an unfounded fear. It's because of what they have already been
history.
seeing.
Yeah, we know that
in
Iraq right next door.
Now, exactly.
So true.
Exactly.